Hi everybody! Today we're going to do a lesson called The Parts of the Root. So this morning you read a book with Miss Kay called Roots. And in that book you learned that the roots of a plant are very important. Can you name one of the important things about a root? The roots help the plant to stay in the earth, to stay upright. What else do the roots do for the plant? The roots carry the food and the water to the rest of the plant. So the roots they suck up the nutrients from the earth and the water from inside of the earth and the roots carry that through the stem, through the rest of the plant, to the rest of the plant. So before we get started, I wanted to share with you something really cool I found outside as I was looking for roots to show you. I found a tulip tree blossom from my tulip tree outside. So here you can see the leaves of the tulip tree and maybe some of the parts of the flower that we talked about last week. The calyx, the part of the flower that protects the bud before it blooms. Maybe the corolla or the petals here. And you might not be able to see it, but there's a lot of pollen in there. I think that's one of the things that's making me sneeze and sniffly, all the pollen inside. And so I'm thinking that these are the stamen here, that maybe, and then this is the pistil. I'm not sure exactly, but you can see all the parts of the flower there. Pretty cool. Well, anyway, let's get back to roots. So here I have I have a plant. This is a zinnia flower that I planted, and it sprouted and it's growing very tall toward the sun. It has its first set of true leaves here, and I'm going to show you the roots inside. So here we have the soil. Very, very gently. See if I can extract the root ball. I'll kind of get a little close. It's covered in dirt. Let's see if we can very carefully, because I want to replant this when we're done. Very carefully get the roots out of the dirt. I'm starting to see it. You guys see the root? To be so gentle so I don't damage any of the roots, but just enough so that you can see some of the parts of the root. Wow, so gentle. So of course we already know we have the leaves of the plant, the stem, and here's the root. The primary root is this main root, also called the taproot. It's the thickest part of the root. It starts at the stem and it goes all the way down to the tip. That's the primary root. And then off of the primary root, you see little secondary roots. The secondary roots come off of that primary root to help suck up all of the water and food from the earth, from the soil. And then if you look really closely, you might not be able to see it. You might have to go, sorry, I'm looking for the camera. You might have to go and find your own root. You can see little root hairs at the tips of the root. And you might notice the root caps at the end. The root caps protect the growing part of the root, because this plant is going to get a lot bigger. So what do you think is going to happen to the roots? The roots are going to get longer so they can get more water and more food for the plant. So that's why the roots are very important, because I want this plant to bloom one day. I want it to flower. So it has to go back in the dirt. I hope it'll still be able to grow since I took it out of its dirt. But I'll put it right back in safely, tuck it back in, and hopefully it'll keep growing and it'll bloom one day. Now, my hands are really messy, so I'm gonna stop the video here for a moment and I'll be back. And I'm back. My hands are all clean now. So today we're going to do the 3-part cards for the parts of the roots. We're going to do it a little bit differently today because my living room is currently a giant pillow fort for Sybil. So I thought I'd do it at a table today. So it might look a little different. I don't have a rug set up or anything, but I'll still show you the cards and we can talk about the parts of the root. We'll start with the root, the whole root. Here you see this line shows the earth, the layer of the dirt, the top layer. And under the ground are the roots. We talked a little bit about the primary root, or the taproot, is that thick main part of the root that goes down deep into the soil to suck up the nutrients and the water for the rest of the plant. The primary root. The secondary roots are the roots that come off of the primary root here. Secondary roots. And then we weren't able to see it very well on the example I showed you earlier, but maybe you can go and find your own root outside. Maybe look for the root hairs here. The root hairs are these little roots that come off the ends of the root tips there. So they just help pull in more water and nutrients for the plant, the hairs. And then lastly, the caps, the root caps. They protect the growing tips of the root. Okay, so let's get started. Randomly, we'll pick a card. Ooh, can you see? Looks like it's the caps. Do you see how the caps are colored in black? The caps. Next one. Do you remember this part of the root? The hairs. The hairs are colored in red. Do you know the name for this part of the root? Secondary. The secondary root. The entire root system. Lastly, the primary root, or the taproot. Let's see if we can read the labels. This might be tricky. Sound it out. Secondary roots. Secondary roots. Root. We can sound this one out. K, a, p, s, caps. The root caps. Tricky. We have a blend. I, marry. Primary root. Lastly, hairs, the root hairs. And that's it. Those are all of the parts of the root we're going to talk about today. I will send you and your parents a copy of the parts of a root and a copy of the blank pages if you would like to make your own booklet and color in the parts, or you can go outside and pick any old weed out of the ground, but when you pick it out, you have to make sure you gently wiggle it out so you don't break the roots, so you can see all of the parts of the root, so you can study it. Maybe you've been growing some plants from seeds, and you can go and check out the root systems of those plants. All right, I hope you guys have fun doing this work and exploring different roots, different plants and their roots. And I'll see you guys next time. Bye-bye. Thank you.